Yo, what's up guys, Catmaster here with another video. We had GGG drop two new live teasers, one for PoE 1 and the upcoming expansion, and one for PoE 2, and we're gonna go into this and dissect it. I'm gonna describe what I see so you can listen if you don't wanna watch. Then I'm gonna share my opinion and the ideas that we floated around in chat, how we're gonna make sense out of all of this, what do we expect. Obviously, these are just teasers. This is just, you know, super ambiguous material. There's not really that much that you can take from it, but we got speculations and they are juicy ones. Now, first of all, we got the live teaser for the upcoming expansion. I'm just gonna press play on this, right? The guy talks about the Eternal Empire and that the descendants of the Empire will have the means to return to greatness. And that's something that they made sure. Then the title is revealed, Necropolis. He says, I hope you're not afraid of a little dirty work. And then we get to see Lycia, obviously, and Katarina, as well as three figures that are standing with the back to the camera, kneeling in front of these two amazing lady bosses, boss ladies. The voice in the background said, I hope you're not afraid of a little dirty work, right before these got revealed. So what did we take from this? First of all, obviously, the Eternal Empire, cool lore stuff, and historically, one of the sources of intimidating and challenging enemies. Now, Necropolis is the Greek word for city of the dead, polis being the word for city, and necro being the prefix for death. So it thematically makes a lot of sense that they included Katarina, who is the head of the Immortal Syndicate, and per definition, undead. Now, if we go a little bit further in the video, we can see it says, watch GGG live. And this is different than what we've seen in previous reveals and teasers. This is also in the Path of Exile 2 teaser, and GGG live seems to be a new format, a new kind of thing, or at least a new name for the same format that they want to propagate with, because previously they said watch the announcement live, or like the full reveal or whatever, right? The GGG live stream, and now it just says GGG live. It doesn't say Path of Exile live stream, it doesn't say expansion live stream or something, it's GGG live. So almost like the name of a new television station, right? And now move on to the interesting part of the video, but before we do that, obviously note, write down 1 PM PDT, March 21st is when we get this full reveal, and then we will be able to talk about it on the podcast right afterwards, the weekend of the 23rd, Saturday 23rd. It's not fully planned out yet, but we're most likely to do an episode then at 11 PM GMT, because that's our main time slot, so follow me on Twitter for more updates. And now on to the dirty work part. Again, we have Katarina, very obviously here, the head of the Immortal Syndicate. We got Lycia, who is the end boss of the Immortal Sanctum, and also sort of the Herald of the Scourge, right? She scourges Beyond. Beyond is also somewhat undead, or at least some super extra demon-like stuff. And then we figured out in an effort yesterday, it's actually relatively obvious once you get the hang of it. We were thinking, like, what are these guys? And the first thing that we recognized are these collar spikes on the armor of the middle guy. And it turns out that this is actually Ulaman, the Sovereign of the Well, who is an Abyssal Depths boss, one of the 3 Abyssal Liches. Now, I wasn't aware of this, but Lich is also an ancient word for corpse. And so this guy is also undead. Lycia is undead, Katarina is undead, this guy's undead. So you see the thematic connection with Necropolis. In further research, we found out that the other guys are the other Liches, being Amanamu, the Liege of the Lightless, which is the other Abyssal Lich boss that can spawn in Abyssal Depths, as well as Kurgle, the Black-Blooded, who we can see here with his exposed green arms. Now, if we go back to the video, we can clearly see that this guy is wearing the same crown or helmet as Amanamunumu, and this guy has the exposed green arms, and they all share the same, like, effect, I would say, right? Why is this bad quality? Yeah, YouTube seriously had 720p auto-selected. Summarize once again, we got Katarina, the Master of the Dead, then we got Lycia, the Herald of the Scourge, and we got the 3 Lich bosses, 1 from Delve and 2 from Abyssal Depths. And now thematically, obviously these are all connected to Necropolis because they're dead or undead, right? So this could be a hint that these bosses share some sort of interaction with the League mechanic. The League mechanic may allow you to enhance those bosses, enhance their risk and reward sort of scenario. We could also have a sort of boss collection thing, like we did with Metamorph or with Maven currently. And there's some people who say that this means we're getting uber boss versions of these 5 guys. And then also, on another, like on the one hand, that is something I see out there, but other people are saying, hey, maybe this is a new invitation, like a new Maven invitation, endgame invitation, where you fight all these 5 at the same time. And I actually think if it is the invitation, then it's also the Uber versions, because you cannot make Maven witness anything that is not opened from a map device, right? You can't make Maven witness something in Delve naturally, right? So how are you gonna go and witness Kurgle in Delve if it's not opened via a map device and you can't get Maven there? So my theory is that we're both getting Uber versions of these bosses that you can collect for in some sort of way. By running the Sanctums, you get fragments for Uber Lycia. By running Betrayal, you get fragments for Uber Katarina. And by running the Liches, you get fragments for the respective Uber version of these Liches. And then you open these Uber versions via your map device and click the Maven thing and let Maven witness them. And then you get to fight the Uber invitation. Now, what speaks against that? If it was actually just a teaser that we're getting 5 new Uber bosses and 1 new invitation, then there would be no reason why these characters are juxtaposed in this way, right? Why they're not standing in line or like standing together, but you have the 2 ladies standing in front and the 3 liches kneeling down to them. So that implies a sort of non-symmetry, a sort of they're not equal. So maybe it's a little bit different. Right? I'd really like the Uber boss version and the new invitation. I think it would be glorious, and I think we need something like that going forward. But yeah, the way that the scene is built makes me think that this has more to do with the League mechanic than with an actual endgame expansion. I have no idea though. All of this is pure speculation and conjecture, so please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, if I missed anything, like literally give me any info, we'll discuss it all on the podcast, right? So you should give me bullets to shoot, right? Yeah, that sums it up for the live teaser for Path of Exile 1. Now let's get into the Path of Exile 2 teaser, where we see a ranger walking through the forest. And she's curious what happened to my forest. And then she gets ambushed by some cat-like creatures. We've seen animals like that before. This is not a new monster type in Path of Exile 2. We've also seen this logo animation. Really cool. I don't even want to start to think about how many hours went into this, but we've seen it before. This has been teased before. So rewind. So what can we see? The ranger demonstrates the new WASD movement that we've been shown in the mercenary trailer, right? You can see clearly that she's aiming separately from her movement direction. She's kind of like, you know, a special operations team trying to get into a crime scene or something like that, securing the area, looking back and forth, walking backwards. And then when the enemies come in, she starts shooting and walking backwards. This is also a completely new feat that we've seen in the mercenary trailer, right? But this is not currently possible in Path of Exile 1, since in Path of Exile 1, you're issuing move commands with your mouse, but you're also at the same time aiming with your mouse and attacking. So the moment that you try to attack into a certain direction, your entire character turns into that direction, which makes you unable to move into a different direction at the same time. Whereas this is very smooth, very fluid, backwards walking. The lightning arrow similar ability, lightning arrow style ability that she uses while walking backwards does seem to have a little bit of a wind up to it, like a little bit more than currently in the game. And then when the pressure is on her, when the enemies are at her location, she does a backwards spin jump while shooting, which is really impressive acrobatically and from an animation point of view. And then she also uses a super long channeling wind-up that seems to have like some sort of wind to it. Maybe that's the new tornado shot. You just suck up all the air and, and shoot a tornado. Now, jokes aside, I have no idea what this is, but clearly this demonstrates the far more tactical gameplay and situation-based gameplay, right? Back and forth sort of combat that Path of Exile 2 will hopefully feature and that they've also been showing us. Similar to how Last Epoch is being praised for like actual, you know, readable animations. You clearly know, oh, I'm gonna get hit, I'm gonna move out of that. You know, everything is just a tad bit slower than currently in Path of Exile 2 Super Endgame, where everything just moves so fast and there's so much going on the screen that you literally can't mechanically play. You always need an overwhelming character with overwhelming defenses and overwhelming offenses, so that when you do get hit, you don't die, and when you hit things, they die instantly, so that you're never at risk of them actually being able to fight back efficiently. But in Path of Exile 2, I think we're gonna feel comfortable fighting with a lot more fragile setup, with a lot less damage, with a lot less defense, because it will feel comfortable to try and outplay the enemies again. Now, one thing that got me really worried, and this is something I talked about a lot when the Mercenary trailer came out, WASD movement. For those of you who don't know, you can in PoE 2 use WASD on your keyboard, right, to move up, left, right, down, and any combination of two of those directions to move diagonally. Also, you're aiming at the same time while moving with your mouse, which is great for ranged characters. Really also works well with melee, as Jonathan said. I'm not sure whether it was Jonathan or Rory. I don't want to attribute the wrong quote. But one of the PoE developers said that it also works like a charm for melee. And now I'm wondering, with this technology that allows so many new things, right, this new input method, likely the game balance will have to happen in some way or another, taking into account the strong things that you can do with this new control, this new input method. And yeah, the more I think about it, I can't see a scenario where you will feel like you're not missing out by using mouse and keyboard in the traditional way. You're almost always going to find there's some shortcomings to the original controls. You're going to want to play WASD because all the bosses, all the monsters, all the scenarios in the game are designed with WASD being a possibility in mind. Now, with WASD allowing a lot of things that you can't do with the traditional controls and the game being balanced around that, I just feel there will be little to no reason to use the traditional controls, and we're gonna have to relearn the game, and it's gonna feel completely different from Path of Exile 1. Currently, they're still saying that, you know, both things will be possible. I can't possibly imagine a world where you would want to do the inferior input method in a game that is balanced around the stronger input method that allows for more, you know, fine-tuning, for separate aiming and moving. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off. And that's honestly my biggest concern with Path of Exile 2. In my Twitch channel and stuff like that, there's a lot of jaded people. There's a lot of people who are kind of very critical of Path of Exile 1, but there's also a significant portion of people who are just not hyped about Path of Exile 2 at all, which hurts me a little bit, because for me, since I played Path of Exile 2 at Gamescom, it's obvious to me that that's the game that I want to play. But at Gamescom, I played with the traditional Path of Exile controls, mouse and keyboard. I don't know how much I'm gonna like it if I have to learn a completely new way to control it, and it's gonna feel essentially different from the game that I fell in love with more than 10 years ago, and yeah, just stray away further from the prototype ARPG Diablo 2, right? So that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think. Are you worried about WASD? Do you want to play with mouse and keyboard the way that you've been playing before, or are you happy to adapt a new way? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to stay in touch, follow me on Twitter for announcements around podcasts and live streams. I also usually multi-stream nowadays on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch at the same time, because it's possible. We got a very chill community. Come over, hang out. It's always fun banter and always fun conversations. It's just a little bit too much PoE 2 bashing at the moment, so come in and spread some love for PoE 2. I'd really enjoy that, and it would really resonate with me. Other than that, if you've been supporting, thank you very much. And if you've been monetarily supporting by purchasing Twitch subscriptions, YouTube memberships, or Patreon subscriptions, you will be mentioned on the end screen. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You make this possible. Bye-bye, and see you in the next video.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.